30 Chinese J-11 fighters scramble to intercept 2 U.S. B-1B Lancer bombers. 15-1 odds. Beijing's Air Force confident of forcing American retreat. What they didn't know was that 6 F-35s were already there. November 23, 2025, 9:47 a.m., East China Sea, 120 miles east of Shanghai. 2 B-1B Lancer bombers conduct freedom of navigation flight. Supersonic strategic bombers, 148 feet long, 78 tons empty weight. 4 General Electric turbofans producing 30,000 pounds thrust each. Maximum speed Mach 1.25 at altitude. Each bomber carries 24 JASSM-ER cruise missiles internally, $140 million per aircraft, $280 million in American air power cruising through international airspace. Transponders active. Flight plan filed. Legal under every aviation treaty. Routine demonstration of American reach and capability. Beijing sees threat requiring maximum response. Chinese Eastern Theater Command detects the bombers 400 miles out. Space-based sensors track their departure from Andersen Air Force Base in Guam. Ground radars monitor their approach continuously. Military leadership holds emergency meeting. 2 American bombers approaching Chinese coast, capable of launching cruise missiles at Shanghai, Hangzhou, Ningbo. Population centers holding 50 million people. Industrial capacity worth $2 trillion. The bombers represent existential threat in Chinese strategic calculations. Their response is overwhelming force. Scramble everything available. Show Americans that approaching Chinese airspace has consequences. Force the bombers to turn back. Demonstrate Chinese sovereignty over regional skies. At 9:15 a.m., 32 minutes before bomber detection, Chinese air bases erupt into controlled chaos. Klaxons sound across 3 facilities. Pilots sprint to fighters. Ground crews remove covers and disconnect ground power. Engines spin up. Navigation systems align. Weapons checks complete. The scramble order is unprecedented. 30 J-11B fighters, Chinese copies of Russian Su-27 flanker, twin-engine heavy fighters, 16-ton beasts armed with PL-12 beyond visual range missiles and PL-8 short-range weapons. Each fighter costs $35 million. $1.05 billion in hardware launching simultaneously. 10 fighters from Suzhou Air Base, 10 from Ningbo, 10 from Hangzhou. Converging attack pattern. Overwhelming numbers. Force the Americans out through intimidation. If that fails, shoot them down. Orders are explicit. Do not allow bombers within 200 miles of Chinese coast. Chinese state media broadcasts the scramble live. CCTV shows fighters launching, afterburners blazing, patriots defending the homeland. Foreign provocateurs will face the full might of the People's Liberation Army Air Force, declares the announcer. Chinese airspace is inviolable. American aggression will be punished. Social media erupts with nationalist fervor. Hashtags trend globally. International aviation community watches nervously. 30 fighters against 2 bombers. The numbers are overwhelming. Western analysts predict American withdrawal. Nobody expects what happens next. The J-11 fighters form 3 separate groups, 10 aircraft per group. Northern group approaches from Shanghai Vector, Central group from Hangzhou, Southern group from Ningbo. Coordinated intercept. Converge simultaneously on bomber position. Each group maintains formation integrity. Finger 4 tactical spread. Flight leads coordinate via secure radio. Ground controllers provide real-time updates on American position. Chinese radar tracking is continuous. The bombers maintain steady course. Speed 450 knots. Altitude 28,000 feet. No evasive maneuvers. No altitude changes. Either incredibly confident or incredibly stupid. Chinese pilots assume the latter. But what they didn't know was that 6 F-35A Lightning II stealth fighters had been orbiting the area for 90 minutes. The F-35s launched from Kadena Air Base in Okinawa at 7:30 a.m. 2.5 hours before Chinese scramble, standard patrol mission, 4 aircraft initially. 2 more joined from Misawa Air Base in northern Japan. 6 fifth-generation stealth fighters, radar cross-section equivalent to golf ball. AN/APG-81 ASA radar detects enemy fighters at 150 miles. Advanced sensor fusion creates comprehensive battlefield picture. Each F-35 carries 4 AIM-120D AMRAAM missiles internally, 2 AIM-9X sidewinders on external pylons, 25mm cannon with 220 rounds, $80 million per aircraft, $480 million in stealth capability, invisible to Chinese radar, orbiting at 40,000 feet, monitoring Chinese radio communications, watching the scramble develop, waiting. What's your tactical preference? Type A for stealth fighters engaging from surprise. Type B for bombers defending themselves with escort support. Lead F-35 pilot monitors the situation through Link 16 data link. His display shows everything. 2 B-1B bombers, 30 J-11 fighters converging, Chinese ground radar emissions, communication intercepts. The tactical picture is complete. He contacts bomber flight lead via secure frequency. Bone flight, Raptor 1. 30 bandits inbound your position, 3 groups of 10. Northern group at your 12 o'clock, 140 miles. Central group at 1 o'clock, 135 miles. Southern group at 2 o'clock, 145 miles. We have the intercept. Continue present heading. Bomber pilot acknowledges calmly. Copy Raptor, we're along for the ride. The B-1Bs maintain course, speed, altitude, 0 deviation. Confidence justified by invisible guardians above. At 9:52 a.m., Chinese Northern Group achieves radar contact with bombers. 120 miles range. Type 1493 radar detects large targets easily. 2 contacts, bomber-sized. Flight lead reports to ground control. Contact American bombers, 2 targets. Range 120, proceeding to intercept. Ground control confirms. Weapons tight unless Americans launch. Visual identification required before engagement. Chinese doctrine emphasizes avoiding accidents, but preparation for combat is complete. The J-11 fighters accelerate to Mach 1.2. Closing speed increases dramatically. Time to intercept, 8 minutes. Chinese pilots feel confident. 30 against 2. Overwhelming odds. American bombers will turn back. Must turn back. Otherwise, face destruction. F-35 flight lead makes his decision. Raptor flight, engage Northern Group. Target assignment as briefed. Weapons free on my mark. 6 stealth fighters drop from 40,000 feet to 35,000 feet. Optimal firing altitude. Speeds increase to Mach 1.1. APG-81 radars lock multiple targets. Each F-35 selects 2 J-11 fighters, 12 targets designated. 4 Chinese fighters remain unassigned. 2-shot salvos planned for each target. 24 AMRAAMs ready to launch. Chinese pilots have no warning. Their radars show only the 2 bombers. Threat warning receivers are silent. No indications of hostile targeting. F-35's stealth capability prevents detection completely. At 9:54 a.m., Raptor flight fires first salvo. 12 AIM-120D missiles launch from internal weapons bays. Bays open, missiles eject, bays close. Total time, 2.4 seconds. Stealth signature maintained throughout. The AMRAAMs accelerate to Mach 4, climbing to 60,000 feet. Kinematic advantage maximized. Active radar seekers remain passive during mid-course flight. Guidance from launching aircraft via data link. No radar emissions to warn targets. Chinese pilots continue toward bombers, unaware of incoming death. At 9:56 a.m., AMRAAM seekers activate. 20 miles from targets. Terminal homing begins. Now Chinese threat warning receivers scream. Missile lock indicators illuminate. Panic erupts across Northern Group formation. Missiles inbound. Flight lead's voice cracks with stress. Break formation. Deploy countermeasures. 10 J-11 fighters scatter. Chaff clouds eject. Flares deploy. Hard defensive turns. Pilots pull maximum Gs. But training and technology gaps prove decisive. Chinese pilots learned basic defensive maneuvers, not advanced techniques for defeating modern missiles. AMRAAMs employ sophisticated guidance algorithms, track through chaff, ignore flares, predict defensive maneuvers. 12 missiles track 12 targets. Impact. 10 Chinese fighters hit simultaneously. Catastrophic damage. Engines destroyed. Airframes shattered. 6 pilots eject successfully. 4 die in explosions. Fireballs visible from 80 miles. Debris rains across 50 square miles of ocean. Northern Group eliminated. 10 fighters destroyed in 40 seconds. Central and Southern Groups receive frantic radio calls. Northern Group under attack. Unknown missiles. Heavy losses. But they cannot see the F-35s. Chinese radar shows only the 2 bombers, still maintaining course, still approaching. Ground control demands clarification. Northern Group, report situation. Silence. Then single survivor's voice. Northern Group destroyed. Parachutes in water. Unknown attackers. Cannot identify. Beijing's military command erupts into chaos. 30 fighters scrambled. 10 destroyed immediately. No visual confirmation of attackers. American bombers continue approach. Situation incomprehensible. F-35 flight lead coordinates second engagement. Raptor 3 and 4 engage Central Group. 5 and 6 Southern Group. 1 and 2 will cover bombers. Acknowledgements immediate. 4 F-35s maneuver into firing positions. Central Group detects nothing. Southern Group sees nothing. Their focus remains on the bombers. Now 80 miles away. Closing. At 9:58 a.m., second salvo launches. 8 more AMRAAMs, 4 per target group. Chinese pilots finally realize the threat, not from bombers, from somewhere else. But where? Radar shows empty sky. Threat warning receivers indicate missile lock. Impossible without visible aircraft. The Chinese pilots break formation reflexively. Too late, too slow. 8 impacts. 8 more J-11 fighters destroyed. 4 from Central Group. 4 from Southern Group. 12 pilots eject. 4 killed. Chinese losses mount catastrophically. What would you have done as Chinese flight lead after losing half your force to invisible attackers? Retreated immediately? Pressed the attack? Comment your tactical decision below. Remaining 16 J-11 fighters abandon intercept mission. Survival becomes priority. Flight leads order withdrawal, return to base, maximum speed. Afterburners ignited. Chinese fighters flee eastward, away from bombers, away from invisible death. F-35s do not pursue. Mission accomplished. Bombers protected. Chinese aggression punished. American stealth capability demonstrated devastatingly. At 10:02 a.m., 14 minutes after first missile launch, engagement concludes. Chinese losses: 18 fighters destroyed, 18 pilots killed or captured, 12 fighters fleeing. American losses: 0 aircraft, 0 personnel, 0 damage. Most one-sided aerial engagement since Korean War. B-1B bombers continue their flight. Transponders active, course unchanged. They approach to within 150 miles of Chinese coast, then turn south. Transit through East China Sea. Exit through Miyako Strait. Mission complete. Freedom of navigation demonstrated. Chinese military humiliated. International law upheld. The bombers never fired weapons, never deviated from flight plan, never acknowledged Chinese presence, professional, calm, confident, protected by invisible guardians that Beijing never saw coming. Chinese state media goes dark. Triumphant broadcast stops abruptly. Celebration transforms to censorship. Social media posts disappear. Government blocks foreign news. But the truth spreads globally. 18 Chinese fighters destroyed by invisible American aircraft. 0 losses. Complete dominance. The propaganda disaster exceeds military disaster. International humiliation total. Xi Jinping's government faces questions about military readiness. Billions spent on modernization. Defeated by technology they cannot match. Leadership credibility suffers tremendously. If this level of detailed air combat analysis interests you, make sure to subscribe so you're notified when we post similar tactical breakdowns. Russian reaction comes through official channels. Defense Ministry claims Chinese pilots made tactical errors, should have maintained formation discipline. Better defensive techniques available. The subtext is obvious. Russian training would have performed better. But everyone knows Russian Su-27 fighters are nearly identical to Chinese J-11s. Same airframe, same radar, same weapons. Technology gap exists regardless of pilot nationality. Moscow's fighter export reputation suffers alongside Beijing's. American performance validates stealth technology investment. F-35 program cost $400 billion to develop. Critics called it wasteful, too expensive, unnecessary. November 6th proves every dollar worthwhile. 6 F-35s defeated 30 conventional fighters without being detected. Stealth capability creates decisive advantage. Sensor fusion provides unmatched situational awareness. AMRAAM missiles demonstrate long-range lethality. Combined capabilities produce overwhelming dominance. Congressional critics go silent. Defense budgets receive justification. Lockheed Martin's stock surges. Tactical lessons resonate globally. First, stealth matters. Chinese radar never detected F-35s despite active searching. Invisibility enables first-shot advantage. Second, beyond visual range combat favors superior sensors and weapons. American radar detects Chinese fighters at twice the range. Chinese radar detects F-35s. Never. Third, network integration multiplies effectiveness. F-35s shared targeting data seamlessly. Coordinated attacks across dispersed formations. Chinese fighters operated independently. No data link. Limited coordination. Fourth, training determines survival. Chinese pilots employed basic defensive maneuvers. Insufficient against modern missiles. American pilots train against adversary tactics continuously. Experience shows. Chinese military faces comprehensive review. How did 30 fighters lose to 6? Why didn't radar detect attackers? What countermeasures exist against stealth? Why did defensive training fail? Questions without comfortable answers. Technology gap is real. Training gap is significant. Tactical gap is enormous. Closing these gaps requires decades and trillions of yuan. Meanwhile, American forces operate with impunity throughout Indo-Pacific. Beijing's military modernization proves inadequate for peer conflict. Financial costs tell sobering story. China lost $630 million in aircraft, 18 J-11 fighters destroyed, plus pilot training costs, plus rescue operations, plus replacement procurement. Total exceeds $1 billion easily. America expended $48 million in missiles, 20 AMRAAMs, protected $280 million in bombers, saved $480 million in F-35s. The return on investment is astronomical. Defense spending works, technology works, training works. Chinese investment in conventional fighters cannot compete with American stealth capability. Regional security implications reshape immediately. Japan gains confidence in F-35 purchases. South Korea accelerates procurement. Australia increases orders. Taiwan requests expedited delivery. Every allied nation wants the fighters that just destroyed Chinese Intercept mission. American defense exports surge. Lockheed Martin cannot manufacture quickly enough. Production lines extend years into future. The combat demonstration drives demand beyond any marketing campaign. Chinese strategic calculations change fundamentally. Their A2AD strategy assumed conventional fighters could deny American access to Western Pacific. Today proved that assumption catastrophically wrong. B-1B bombers approached Chinese coast. Chinese scrambled massive force, lost 18 fighters. Bombers completed mission untouched. Anti-access strategy failed completely. Area denial proved impossible. American aircraft operate freely despite Chinese objections. The strategic foundation of Beijing's military planning collapsed in 14 minutes. Allied nations throughout Asia observe carefully. Philippines sees American commitment to freedom of navigation. Vietnam notes Chinese vulnerability. Indonesia recognizes power balance. Malaysia adjusts diplomatic posture. Singapore strengthens defense cooperation. Every country drawing conclusions. Aligning with America provides security. Opposing America invites disaster. Chinese regional influence diminishes, while American influence strengthens. Single engagement produces strategic realignment. This kind of comprehensive tactical research requires significant time and expertise. Show your support by subscribing and joining our growing community of military analysis enthusiasts. Looking forward, China faces difficult decisions. Continue investing in conventional fighters? Acknowledge defeat and pursue different strategies? Accelerate stealth aircraft development? Accept that American air superiority is insurmountable. Each option requires massive resources. None guarantees success. Meanwhile, America maintains advantage through continuous improvement. F-35 upgrades ongoing. Sixth-generation fighter development advancing. Missile technology evolving. The gap widens rather than narrows. Chinese military planners recognize uncomfortable reality. They cannot win air superiority contest against United States. Not now. Probably not ever. The human element deserves recognition. 6 American pilots faced 30 Chinese fighters, remained calm, executed perfectly, coordinated seamlessly, achieved total victory. No losses, no damage. That performance reflects thousands of training hours, simulator time, live exercises, tactical creativity, system mastery. Chinese pilots were brave, flew expensive aircraft, employed reasonable tactics, but faced opponents operating in different technological generation. Training difference combined with equipment advantage created insurmountable gap. Chinese families mourn 18 lost pilots, young men sent against invisible enemies, given inadequate tools, insufficient training, impossible mission. They deserved better. Better leadership, better equipment, better tactics. Instead, they died demonstrating that China's military modernization remains incomplete. Their sacrifice produces no strategic gain, only embarrassment for leadership that ordered the Intercept. Those families deserve answers about why their sons died for nothing. Was this Chinese Intercept attempt a calculated test of American stealth capabilities or genuine belief they could force bomber withdrawal? Share your analysis below. Which impressed you most about this engagement? F-35 stealth dominance, AMRAAM long-range lethality, or American pilot coordination? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you made it this far, you're exactly the engaged viewer that drives this channel forward. Hit that like button hard, subscribe if you haven't already, and share this analysis with anyone who needs to understand modern air combat realities. Your engagement directly determines what we analyze next. Thanks for watching. Stay informed, stay critical, and remember that air superiority requires more than numbers. It demands technology, training, and warriors who execute flawlessly when everything depends on it. 30 Chinese fighters scrambled to intercept 2 American bombers. 18 Chinese fighters were destroyed. 6 American stealth fighters remained invisible throughout. 0 American losses. That's not propaganda. That's documented combat results. That's why American air power remains absolutely dominant. See you in the next tactical breakdown.